evening, afternoon, or morning, I guess, whenever you're watching or listening to this. As we're recording it right now, it is the evening, which is a whole lot of information you probably didn't need to know. But it's Babe and I again this evening. And how are you doing, Babe?
I am good. I am doing good at a later part of the evening than you are.
Yeah, okay, yes, that's true because there's an hour difference. Took me a second there to get that.
How
Um,
are you?
I'm good. I sent you that. We can start off by talking real quick about that book that I sent you the link to today that comes
Oh
out
yeah,
Friday.
yeah,
Joe Dituri and some other guy wrote this book about with like hyperbaric medicine. A little pricier than I thought it would be, but I'm sure there's really good information in that thing too. I mean, I'm half tempted to buy it, even though I don't know anything about it.
yeah. That's. I want to buy it, and really, as something that's supposed to stand as, I'm assuming a type of a textbook.
Yeah,
It's actually not too bad of a price.
right, right. It looks like it's pretty thick too. Plus, it's hardback too.
Yeah,
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 I think it's going to be. I wonder how much of his time at Jules, some of that information that makes it into that as well. Um, Even though it's hyperbaric medicine and Jules isn't really a hyperbaric chamber, um, I wonder if any of that just did seep into it. Uh, I guess you'll. I guess you'll have to read it and find it and tell us about it.
there it is.
Yeah, but
We're
anyway,
gonna find the audiobook version of it.
if you pay me enough, I'll read it to you.
We okay? All
Yeah.
right.
Um, or heck, anymore with AI, just drop the book in there and let it read it to you.
That's
Um,
true.
One thing I was going to talk about a little bit later, but I guess we can talk about right now off the bat is the podcast. And I don't know that uh, honestly, it's been growing, and I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's because I'm posting more in there. But if you haven't checked out the podcast, which is Colonize the Ocean Podcast, which we've had for several years now, start off with just basically interviews with different people. You know, Dennis Chamberlain, different people along those lines in the ocean world, whether they're submarines, submersibles, divers, etc. And this kind of has grown over the years. Well, that's a nice pillow you got there, babe.
Yes, it is. Oh,
Um,
it helped a lot.
it's grown over the years. It's incorporated just more about underwater habitats. Babe has done some live streams which are turned into podcasts as well about the different underwater habitats out there, basically themed on those. But a little over a year ago, I started a thing where I do shorts on there, and every Monday a short comes out talking about something really quick. Um, and now I started on Fridays as well, having a podcast go out. So you got one on Monday and one on Friday. But Friday is basically it's AI generated podcast, which sounds weird until you listen to it.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a topic. It's usually a document that's got like the first one was a technical document that turned into a podcast. So um, you've got two coming out. One is a really short me just talking about stuff that I feel is important and close to me. And then Friday is a more technical, like traditional podcast style, but it's all AI based off of real documents. And we've got several more coming out. Babe and me were talking before the show here about a document he's sending me, which I'll turn into one of those as well. And what I like about it is it's a fun, an easy way to get the information out of what could otherwise be a dry and boring document. It's one of the great things AI is doing, and this is a free program from Google that you can do this with. Anybody can do it. Um, but yeah, so there's been several like long documents. Like that looks like information I want to read, but I'm not going to do it. So I just threw it in this thing. It produces, and it's two people doing a podcast. So it's a fun way to listen. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, I definitely encourage you to. It's on almost all podcast platforms. You can even listen to the most recent one on our website as well. But it's Colonize the Ocean Podcast. And then this live tonight will become a podcast for next Tuesday. It'll come out. So that's another way of listening or watching these is on your favorite podcast platform. So I don't know about you, but I consume a lot of podcasts if I'm out driving. I'm going to be doing a lot of driving next week, so I'm going to be consuming tons of podcasts. Yeah. Are you a big podcast guy, babe?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's several divers podcasts that some we've mentioned or had, I talked about on here.
Yeah. So anyway, if you guys have good podcast ideas, we're all about that. Like I said, there is a resource page on the website as well where I've got a select few podcasts on there that are fan favorites and stuff like that. They have really good information. One of the podcasts we have on there who actually had as an interview was Tech Clark. So we had him on here a couple of years ago. He was a fun interview to do. So yeah, we'll start off today by a self plug there on Colonize the Ocean podcast.
Yeah.
We check that out. But the reason we're in here, and first off, now we got several people in here. Looks like the most of them from X there. Thank you very much for whoever's out there joining us. We try to do these every other week, but this one's a little delayed. We will be doing a Halloween episode here in a couple weeks. Usually it's some kind of trivia thing, so that's always fun to join in and play along with. So we'll put that out as soon as we know the exact date. We may actually do it on Halloween, which I think is a Thursday this year instead of on Tuesdays. So we'll work within schedules. But anyway, thank you for joining us. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go back to the podcast real fast because it's something I noticed the other day, and I'm not going to say what podcast I'm talking about, but it was there. The topic was so dry, but I didn't even think about the topic being that dry and like boring for I don't know how long into it because the personalities that were talking about it.
The AI one?
And no, it was this was a real people.
Oh, okay.
People I was
one of the ones you're listening
to. And so it was like, and then I realized like, anyone else would talk about that and just be some crusty old person talking about it,
right.
But they did such a good job because of the way they engage each other. And so that's the way I view the AI generated ones that you've done is like, that's, it works. It really does.
It does. And that's what not to spend a lot of time on this one, but it's basically for anybody that wants to try it out. It's called Notebook LM by Google. And this is just a side effect of what it can do. But basically what it's designed to do is you could drop any type of document or website in there and it makes it searchable. So you can type in a question and be like, if you got like a huge book, you drop the whole PDF in there, then you can ask it questions and it'll tell you where it is. They'll answer those, they'll cite them. So for homework and stuff like that, it's amazing because you just drop your whole textbook in there, then you can ask it the questions. It's going to bring up what they are. It'll answer them in normal human language type of thing. But it has an option there where you can generate a whole entire podcast out of it too. And it kind of condenses it down and puts it in a podcast format.
So how'd you get your doctorate again?
Yeah, exactly. AI. But I mean, honestly, it is the future. I mean, more and more people are going to be doing it. It's just a really cool free program that we're able to test around with, been playing with it, and just seeing if it resonates with people out there. And so far, it seems to be getting quite a few. And in comparison, I'm looking at our algorithm right now on the podcast, and it gets just as many listens as anything else, which it's been steadily growing too. So thank you for everybody that consumes the podcast. I do definitely appreciate it. And it's been one of the things that people have asked, why we do live streams and why we do all this kind of stuff, because there's so many other people out there that's been working in the underwater habitat area for quite a while. They don't put anything out there. They don't post anything on social media. And I get it because the concerns from the other people I've talked to them is they're like, I don't have anything to show. I'm not going to put anything out there. And I get that because when we're talking about it, we kind of have to do something about it type of thing too. But the reason that I have been so adamant about us making sure we do live streams and we do podcasts and we post stuff out on social media is I want there to be a record of that. This is what Brendan has said. This is what ASC has been saying for years, decades, however long it may be, about this is what underwater habitats are going to be. This is the future. And to go on record as saying this is what's going on. I think we've been pretty spot on with a lot of the stuff we've said about over the years about what's going to be happening with underwater habitats. And now you have Deep and Fabian with their habitats, so they're working on those. And a lot of the ideology has been borrowed either directly or it has been just because it's the right ideology from things we have said and put out there over the years. So, yeah.
They've even said they listen to us.
Yeah, I said, yeah, Deep. I mean, once again, Deep says they listen to the podcast and stuff like that. So if they do, we've been giving them lots of ammunition on what to do and how to do it over the years, which kind of sucks from one standpoint of the thing but at the same time, I believe what goes around comes around, and I believe we're still poised to offer something different because we're still not doing what. And let's just jump into it. Deep here has been putting out a bunch of videos here recently showing off what they're planning on launching in 2025. And it's really cool. It's like just a stripped down, like just prototype version of their habitat. But once again, it looks more like something we've been proposing here for a while too. I'm not saying that, once again, not saying that design by any means is stripping anything from us, but I think it is funny that they've gone back to that small of a size, back to our prototype size as well. And the difference is that they're obviously looking at saturated divers. They're looking still at the more of the scientific community, which is great. I mean, once again, there is a bunch of need for that. The ASC, we're here, basically I say, for the common man. We're here for the everyday person. And you know, I want everybody to be able to experience the ocean that want to experience it. And so as many boundaries and stuff we can remove, the better. And that's why, you know, it's like, I want it to be as easy as walking from here to the Holiday Inn downtown type of thing. You know, you check in, you get in there, do your thing, you come and go as you please. I want it to be that simple. And then, you know, have all the amenities that you expect out of a resort or a hotel as well. So,
and we won't ask for their license plate number.
What's that from?
From hotels, when you check in, they always get your license plate number.
Yeah. Like, what is he talking about?
The cars went parked out there.
Yeah, we don't care about your license plate number. You can come with a stolen vehicle for all we care. But yeah, that's kind of that's really the core difference between us, not only us, Deep, and Fabian, Cousteau, and Proteus. And if anything, and I think you've said this multiple times too, is with these underwater habitats making the news, it just opens it up that, hey, we can piggyback on that, and what we've been saying, people are going to start searching for underwater habitats.
Yep.
Especially if you go to YouTube and do it. Most of the stuff comes up as Atlantic Sea Colony. It's a lot of ASC stuff out there because, once again, we've been pushing stuff out there for so long, and we're looking to push it more and more out there. So yeah, I just see it as a good thing for the most part. Even though I personally look at what people are doing, and I shouldn't do that because it really puts me in a downer mood when I do that. I see like, oh, they're doing this, like, oh, why aren't we doing that type of thing too? But we are doing our own thing. It's different, but yet in the same vein. And because of that, I think that any publicity definitely can help us out as well in the long run.
It's going to be access, because with what they're setting up is for a scientific community. So unless that's what you're into and, you know, your goal, and even then that doesn't mean you're going to get into to do it. So ASC's access is everybody.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, is
it's access.
Right now, it's one of those things where, like Aquarius, it's like, man, I'd love to go spend a day at Aquarius or something like that. But unless you've got a group and tons of money, it's not going to happen. So what do you have? You have Jules, which, once again, Jules is great, but we can do better. And Jules is old. It wasn't designed for everyday people. And as you and I can both attest, there's aspects to that if you're handicapped or you're overweight or whatever, you're not going to be able to maneuver in there.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to combat again. It has to be like the Seasetting Institute coined on when that one is the grandmother test or whatever I labeled it, where if your 90-year-old grandma can't come and visit your underwater habitat, there's still work to be done.
Yeah. And
obviously that's not going to be right off the bat, but that is the goal, that is the line that we've set in the stand where you have to get to be a sustainable, future-driven underwater habitat. And so kudos to Fabian and Deep and everybody working on those. But that's not what we're doing. Bottom line. And, obviously we've talked in the past, and this is something we brought up in a business meeting we had last week too. We've talked about all the different things that ASC can do, data centers, energy storage, and stuff along those lines. And it can, obviously with the advent of AI and data storage, that is a really big buzzword right now, and people are really moving to that. And Elon Musk and Tesla just built this massive data center. It's going to be one of the largest in the world up in Memphis area. And it's one of those things where how much of that cost to cooling that thing did he have to implement in there that he could have saved by putting it in the Mississippi River and using that water there to cool it down, cool down the servers and stuff along those lines. Obviously, the Mississippi is probably not the best place to be putting that, but you could. But I don't think it's probably you get barges and everything hitting it and blocking the river and stuff. But I'm saying off the coast, you could definitely do that. And it's, we've had multiple podcasts and live streams talking about that aspect of the data center and how that comes into play. And I definitely do believe that is a profit center and a vertical that ASC will look into as well. Anyway, but really tonight, as we've already talked a little bit about there, is basically just to hop on here to tell people what's going on, to just touch base, to say, hey, we're still out there. If you're not following us on our socials, I mean, I try to put out reels from these things here. I'm still putting them out. I made some different ones that I'm going to start posting out too, interacting with clips from Deep and other people like that. Try to diversify our social media a little bit, but thank you for being here. You got anything you want to throw in here, babe?
Oh, just, obviously we're fans of Deep and Proteus. So if you haven't checked out their videos, please do, because it's really cool. It really is cool.
And obviously there is a concern, and Adam, his voice is concerned too, is if we put too much emphasis on these other ones, why would people be interested in what ASC is doing if you've got companies out there like Deep and Fabian who have the name and the money behind them and the process of moving forward, and why even look at what ASC is doing? It's because of what we just talked about, because we're a different focus here. It's for those people who can't dive, aren't able to dive, don't want to dive, and definitely don't want to be in a situation where you're saturated and stuck there type of thing too. We are that alternative. There are other alternatives as well, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I think that there are definitely some massive pros, especially as you look into, let's make it topical here. We've got a huge hurricane getting ready to smash into Florida. Obviously, if you're deep enough underwater, that hurricane's not going to be as affected as if you were closer to the surface, which I segue into what Ocean Builders is doing. There's a lot of movement, ArcPad, ArcTide, Ocean Builders, all these organizations out there working on floating houses. Yet all of them have talked, well, Ocean Builders hasn't, but the other ones have all talked to me about, hey, I want an underwater room, and what does that look like? Everybody wants an underwater room associated with that underwater aspect. But the problem with being a floating thing is you have to move out of the way of those hurricanes, or you're going to get caught up in it. Being underwater, we're deep enough, we're not going to be affected. So there's that.
You can't hide in that underwater room. It's not a basement.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, true. But what I will say is, what I was going to talk about is Ocean Builders is right now doing, and somebody else will watch, who they are ones that, we had them on, early on, like right before they were even doing much of anything, and talked to them as well. And they've really just blown up. And they're actually doing a thing where their head engineer is they have built an underwater room, which is actually more spacious than I thought it was going to be. And they're staying down there for at least 101 days. I heard them talking maybe 140 or 120, depending on what they're thinking. Again, really cool room. And it's one of those things where it looks like it's probably like 20 feet underwater, 10 feet underwater, something like that. I couldn't tell basically where it's at, but it's pretty cool. I would definitely stay there. It gives you the best of both worlds from the standpoint is you can have your above, water villa there looking out wake up over the seas, or you can go down and look at the fish and have, there's ports all the way around it. So there's that too. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Anyway, again, talking about different companies out there versus what we're doing. And that's the cool thing is, we've talked to Martin over in Turkey, is, the great thing is, him and me, we got a great working relationship because we both understand there's a lot of ocean out there, and there's a lot of opportunity for all these different organizations and companies to be able to do their own thing, whether it is floating companies like Arc Tide, ArcPad, Ocean Builders. Some of them are looking at working with, have been trying to get Elon Musk's attention as far as floating platforms for rockets, which I think is going to be a very important thing. I think it's a no-brainer. And even Elon has talked about that in the past. To scientific research like Deep and Fabian. And then there's us who's just, hey, we're just trying to make the oceans accessible and put that stuff out there. So yeah, it's a big ocean. There's plenty of space to do stuff. Why can't we all just get along?
Right. Well, one thing that most of them seem to be agreeing on is a modular type designs, because they realize the need to add on to easy fix, and that's something that you've been talking about from the start. And so I'll say too that as far as the seamless living, where you don't have to dive to get to it, but if that's what you wanted out of an ASC habitat, that can be made.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just as easy. Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as the modularity goes too, I mean, it's one of those things where you look back at what Cousteau and stuff did in the past. Even back then, it was, you look at the Starship, that if they had taken a modular approach on that, each one of those little arms, what they have done with that, if they had planned for a more permanent stay, that'd been the route to go. And same thing with Tektite. I mean, it had these two cylinders that could have been interchangeable and replaceable too. It could have been a more permanent dwelling place. And I think that's really the key to it is how long are you planning on the habitat staying down there? With the modular aspect of the thing is you can slowly switch stuff over time as it either gets older or damaged or out of date, or you want to do a refresh on it. Especially, you start looking at resorts or private homes and stuff along those lines, and you want to make changes to those from time to time, especially with something as niche and cool as that. You kind of want to be cutting edge. In my mind, you do. You want the technology and everything to be pretty cutting edge in there. So it's one of those things where you gotta be updating it and keeping it up to date and all that kind of stuff. That's my opinion on the whole thing. I could be wrong, but judging by the fact that everybody seems to be going that route, I think we're on the right track here.
Absolutely, which I'm sure we've talked about it, and I know it's going to be upcoming in some stuff here in the future for us. But just like International Space Station, ISS, all the modules can be hooked together and changed. And I was going to joke and say that if your wife wants to rearrange the furniture, you just change the module out, right?
There you go.
Let's rearrange the rooms instead of the furniture.
Do you send her with it?
The mother-in-law suite.
Yeah, that's right. Oh no, it flooded. Well, I was going to say something. I just lost my train of thought, and I think we're going to talk about that. But yeah, modularity is definitely is the way to go. Not even segueing, but moving on, talking about some other stuff. Like you're talking about stuff. That was what it was. You're talking about stuff coming up, and completely off subject, off in left field here. But before I forget about it, and before I completely just miss the opportunity to talk about it, which I very well could because my brain is scatterbrained all the time, is every month the guys have given me tasks to get done around here that I need to accomplish to be moving ASC forward, whether it's small little things or big little things, whatever it is. And last month, one that I've been talking about for like a year, and it had never got done because I would dink around with it and wouldn't focus on it because I'd move on to something else, whether emailing or whatever, was getting the merchandise shop up and running. And so it's finally up and running. I still haven't linked it onto the website yet. I just want to make sure Babe had got his stuff because he had ordered some stuff to test
I
it
did.
out, and he did. So, but anybody, if they want to check out the shop, is it going to go out to everybody? Let's see.
Looks like it.
I don't know if people on X, it didn't go out there. So I will, since everybody's on X, it's basically atlantaseacolony.com/shop. And you can go on there. I pulled back some of the designs. I'm still trying to, focus so there's not as many designs, but it's better designs. And so you can go on there, you can check stuff out. We've got stuff on there. If there's stuff you're looking for, you can let me know. We might be able to do some custom stuff and get up there on the shop for you as well. Because the company we're going with, they have a wide variety of stuff, mouse pads, different stuff along those lines. But right now, I just got a bunch of shirts and hats, and I think there's mugs and stuff up there too.
Yeah, there's some. It's the jacket that I'd wanted for so long that I finally got, and it's just, I don't know how to explain the weight. It's just a little bit heavier than what do they call them? Shackets, the shirt jackets thing.
Yeah.
So it's like that weight, and I actually like it really well because it layers good.
Yeah.
But like for the temperatures where I'm at right now, I mean, it's perfect. It's just it's perfect just to throw over a t-shirt. It's
I like that.
I like it.
Material. You don't feel bulky at all in it.
Yep.
It's more like a windbreaker more than anything from the standpoint. It just gets like wind out. But yeah, it's definitely not like go out in the snow weather. You'd want to definitely throw it under something else. If you have snow in your area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so yeah, I'm happy with the material and the printing over some of the stuff we've had in the past. So this seems like a higher quality stuff. I'm not saying the stuff in the past was bad. You're obviously still wearing the stuff.
These shirts have all held up well.
Yep.
They really have. Like, always inspect for holes or wear places or what, and they're holding up really well. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Money's worth.
Yeah, we got basically that's pretty much all I had to talk about tonight. I just want to hop on here again and touch base. I want to go over, with the news of everybody, with Ocean Builders out there, Deep out there, Fabian out there. I wanted to address it, to put our stamp on here. Here's who we are. Here's what we're doing versus what they're doing, as well as to champion what they're doing as well, because everything they're doing is amazing and great work that needs to happen. And in the end, I believe it helps us all in what we're doing as well. So I wanted to put my 2 cents and Babe as well on all that, plus to really push the podcast standpoint, because like I say, we are getting more and more listeners on that. And yeah, I appreciate those, every one of those. And X, for you out there, obviously probably some of you are new. As I've been being more and more active on X, getting more and more followers out there. I'm on the ASC account. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, it is purely a financial thing. As Deep is showing right now that it is completely doable using brand new technologies. We can do this. We can cut costs. We can get underwater habitats out there to the masses at a low cost. I 100% believe that. And at that point in time, you can have underwater resorts off of every major city around the world that's on the ocean if you wanted. If you got hotels, you could have a underwater section, whatever. So it's just a matter of money and time at this point in time before all that transpires. So yeah, if anybody out there knows people that has money, I'd love to talk to them, because I don't, and we don't. But hey, with that being said, hey, tell you what, I can segue really quick with that. Do you have something you want to say, Babe?
Well, I don't want to spoil a moment. I'm just going to say, you guys are waiting for Milton and stuff. Let's go out to the hurricane down there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's if it stacks on top of Helena, then it's really bad.
I've been talking to a friend who lives in Tampa, and they're like, they don't know what to do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like they're right outside the Tampa area, so they're just battered down and waiting for it to happen at this point in time. And it concerns me because, so many, especially we're completely getting off the track here, but I think it's important to talk about this
That's,
to anybody that may live in that area that's listening to this is, my brother-in-law, his whole family is from New Orleans, and they were there through Katrina. And they decided not to leave because they've said, hey, we've been through so many of these, it's just going to be another hurricane. But it wasn't just another hurricane. And this one is tracking to be, I think, bigger than Katrina. That's about ready to
yeah.
hit there. So just because you've been through these before doesn't mean they're always going to act the same. And there's no reason you have to lose your life or somebody you may know because you've done this before. Your stuff is not worth you sticking around for. It is just things. They can be replaced, but your life cannot. So, yes, our thoughts and our prayers go out to everybody on this situation. But please, if you can get further inland or you can get out of state, that's obviously ideal at this point in time.
Yeah.
And if there's anything we can do, obviously, we're here. But I think there's more powerful and there's more people that have more stuff going on that can do more than just two guys sitting behind a screen can do right now, except for this little PSA right now. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. If you want to help us out, we do have a Patreon, and this isn't a cash grab by any means. But if you would like to, if you believe in what we're doing, and if you want to be behind one of these organizations where you can't necessarily like Deep or something along those lines, you can definitely, we would love to jump on board and help support us as we ramp up and try to get this going and get this moving. So that's obviously one way you can definitely do that. And we've got several people that have been supporting us, which Brian, Matthew, Martin, Babe, obviously, Adam, and my dad. And then obviously I don't put myself on here, but I contribute weekly into the ASC account to try to build that thing up, to try to do what we can to move that needle and to make it happen. But maybe you don't want to throw some money at it, which no shame whatsoever. We got several different ways too. You hop in our Discord and just talk to us about it. We have a larger community in there that is constantly growing of people in there from all different engineering or backgrounds of different stuff like that are passionate about the ocean, whether it's underwater or above the water. Obviously we're focused under, but there are people in there in the boating area or the floating house area too that you can jump in there and talk to them. And all of our links, as always, are at atlanticseacolony.com. Hop on there. We're on most platforms, I think, X, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, podcast, Discord, and I think that's most of the ones we focus on anymore. We used to be on a whole lot more, but just trying to focus on the main ones. Yeah. Anything you want to say there, babe?
Actually, I was hoping to see Glenn tonight, and he just popped in.
Yeah, he did. Let's pull this down here. Glenn wants to know if we're going to DEMA this year. Not this year. It's over in
Is it Vegas this year?
Yeah, Vegas. So
okay.
A little bit. I'm going to be going to underwater intervention though, which is obviously in November as well. So I will be there. Now that they partnered with Workboat, that underwater intervention is just huge, and there's so many good contacts and seeing people down there that it's arguably I think it may even be better than DEMA for what it is. DEMA is great if you're a scuba diver and you're on the scuba tech and stuff along those lines, and they got a little bit of other stuff there that Glenn says UI, good call. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, underwater intervention is definitely more for the people we need to be talking to for the most part, I believe, especially at this point in time. So yeah, I like it better, and it's always in New Orleans, so it's super close as well. That being said, DEMA is great, and once it hits back in, I don't know if we'll try to hit Orlando, but definitely once it's back in New Orleans in 2 years, we'll probably go to that again. And maybe you should come with us this year, Glenn. Maybe you should pencil it in.
Yeah, he should. Heck,
we can get you.
after everything you told me about underwater intervention, and after some of the podcasts I listened to went there, it's like I think I would be
Yeah.
as excited or more excited to
Well,
go there than
yeah,
DEMA.
I meant DEMA, but yeah, it's like I say, um, Glenn says, nice to see you guys are still working towards the goal.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, I appreciate you hopping in here and talking to us because yeah, it's um it's a tough thing to do. And I guess if the old saying is if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Um, but yeah, thank you, Glenn. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, UI is great. Dima is good. Dima is just cool because it's like everybody's there. There's bigger speakers. As far as size, it probably is slightly bigger than underwater intervention, but it's just like there's just so much going on. What makes underwater intervention so big is the displays are huge because they got like actual boats and stuff there, taking up space too. So, but either way, if everybody's going to be underwater intervention, I'm planning on being there unless something comes up. So, meet up, talk. We've tried to meet people the last couple of times that are there. I could never find them when I was there at both underwater intervention and DEMA. There's people that we talked to on here. I can't draw blank on names right now, but they've been there and they say, "Hey, come find me," but I couldn't find them anywhere. So I don't know. I know Tech was at DEMA, and I was going to run into him, but he was off somewhere. I couldn't find him. I don't know.
I know he was talking at
He was,
part of
and
the
that's
day
how I
too.
wonder if he was like in a different area because of that. And that's why I could never find him. But I also wonder if some of these people, I wonder if I actually recognize them in real life too,
Yeah,
as well. But I was first time I was underwater intervention. There was a guy there. He works with 3D like cameras and stuff like that. And his whole company's around that. And he grabbed me while I was walking by. He's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know you." And he just recognized me, type of thing. I guess I have that face, but no.
only a mother
So
could love. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Um, so yeah. But one last thing, I guess, talking about 3D is Adam and I have VR headsets now. So if there's people out there with like the MetaQuest lineup of headsets and you'd like to get in and do stuff, we've talked about starting to maybe having like a meeting room where we can discuss ASC underwater things in a VR environment and see what we can make of that. It'd be really cool if I knew somebody that knew how to do VR to make a virtual ASC where we could actually walk around and test it out. That'd be pretty cool though too. Glenn says, would love to, but life gets in the way and opening new companies takes thousands of hours and huge commitment. At my age, it may well be my last hurrah. Yeah, I get it. You know, I've talked a little bit about it, but one thing that's definitely hasn't slowed down ASC, but it's made me more exhausted than ever is my dad opened a bookstore 5 years ago. And my sister and me have pretty much been running that with him. And so for personal reasons, it was harder than others to get it up and running. So I totally get that. You know, I've helped start 2 companies now outside of ASC with other people, and the stress, the money, sleepless nights from doing that is a young man's game. And so it's one of those things where kudos to you, man, for tackling that. It's exciting though, and I'm happy for you. I hope that all is going well. And with that being said, babe, do you have any final thoughts here?
no, I think I'm good. No, just
Glenn, do you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to talk about since you're in here tonight? Or is it's probably about your bedtime too? It's getting late.
yep.
Yeah, Glenn's like, you are busy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Exactly. That's 100% it. And for some reason, I find more work than I should. I can't be not working on something, which I think is good and bad because it takes energy from the ASC. So I'm always running ragged. Um, Glenn says, I haven't kept up, and yes, I'm an old fart. I get it. that's Santa Claus over there. Your season's getting ready to ramp up here too.
Yep.
But yeah, I focus is the key. Focus on the things that are important and work on those. So yeah, but hey, we've got people in here from all different platforms tonight. Again, thank you for hopping in here and joining here. Even if you're not posting questions or you're wanting to talk about, they're just consuming the information. I get it. This is an open platform. I love to talk about all things underwater habitat, as does Babe, and scuba diving and all that stuff. So yeah, Glenn says, "Keep it up, good guys." Not good guys, just keep it up, guys. We're not good guys. We're just guys. Nice to see you again. And yes, Santa is still cooking. So yeah, for people who don't know, Glenn does Santa Claus as well.
Thanks.
Good night, Glenn. All right, Babe. Well, let's wrap her up for the evening.
Okay.
And we will be scheduling out once Adam gets back with us on the Halloween one here, hopefully the next week or two, and get that going there and seeing what's going on with that whole thing. But to everybody else out there, thank you again. Have a great week. If you're in the Florida or the path of the hurricane, please be safe. Seek high ground or dry ground, or just get out of the state. And again, Elena Sea Colony, come check us out there. If you got investors, if you've got people that want to help, whatever it is, we are all about it. I'd much rather partner with people who are like-minded and have that passion than outsource to different areas. So thank you guys. We'll all see you soon. Take care.